I'm unmuted. I'm ready. Good morning, everybody. It is my privilege to introduce today's guest speaker, Leisa Reid, with Productive Learning. Whether you have an interest in personal development or not, there is no doubt that we have a desire to achieve more, go for what we want, and set goals towards a better future. And in the process of going for what we want, we can experience obstacles or challenges. Leisa Reid is a speaker and trainer with Productive Learning, a personal development company that fosters a powerful journey of self-discovery. In today's session, how to achieve your goals using your creative mind, Leisa will be guiding us through some exercises designed to open up new possibilities and stimulate new actions that you can use immediately. Welcome, Leisa Reid.
Thank you. All right. I am already so high off that group exercise. Is everyone having such a fun time with learning more about people? I sure did. It was really fun. So now we're going to soak up some of our own learning today, and I'm just going to invite you to be extremely present as much as you can, because this next minutes that we have together is really for you. I'm going to lead us through some exercises, but it's all in service of you, your own growth. What is it that you'd like to achieve? What are you working on? So the more you put yourself into it, the more you're going to get out of it, because it's all for you. So if you're getting distracted by text or notifications or emails or things like that, I'm just going to invite you to really give yourself this next 45 minutes or so that we have together. And in doing so, to support you, you will probably want to get a piece of paper and a pen handy. So if you do not already have that, I'm going to give you just a moment to get that going. And I will be sharing the screen. You're welcome to make comments and chat during the presentation. I will do my best to note if there's anything I need to address, or Carolyn, Lupe, or Kathy, you're welcome to unmute and say like, hey, Leisa, we had a question about XYZ. That's totally fine. But what I'd like to do is towards the end, really open it up for you to share, because I think a lot of times we learn from other people, right? Like we all have our own experience and we think, oh, well, maybe nobody wants to hear that, or that's not that big of a deal. I will tell you, after working with thousands of people, when you share something that's meaningful for you and you have an aha, it really benefits the rest of the group. There's someone who needed to hear that to connect something for them. So I mean, Carlsbad Chamber is like one of the best, I always tell Kathy, like one of the best chambers I've ever spoken to, because you have created this foundation of connectedness and support. So I feel like even though we have a larger group today, not usually our normal Friday morning in-person 100 something people, but we have a lot of us here, and I think that we can absolutely continue that level of safety and support and connection through Zoom. Do you all agree with that? Are we good? Yes. Okay. I knew you guys would be on board. Okay, cool. So I'm going to assume at this point you have a piece of paper and a pen, and I'm just going to do a quick screen share here. And here's let you know what we're going to cover. We're going to do some exercises. I will lead you through those, and that's what you're going to need your pen and paper from. And that is really going to be all about helping you overcome some obstacles. And I'll give you direction on that. On a deeper level, yes, we're going to do some exercises, but I also am encouraging you, and we're literally stepping through this space of how do you use this type of thinking in your everyday life. So sure, we have some moments together today, but that's not long-lasting change. Like long-lasting change is what can you do that you can implement on a day-to-day basis, and how can you use what we're going to learn today to continue your growth further, of course. And I have a class that I'm going to offer all of you. It's completely free. So I'll give you access to that at the end so that you can continue that growth, get some more support, and have more of what you want in your life. So I think that sounds like a good agenda today. Here's a little teeny tiny bit about me. I do have a bachelor's and master's in speech communication. I taught at Cal State Fullerton when I was 22 years old. So it's no surprise that I love speaking and teaching. But the content we're talking about today and the content we speak at Productive Learning is really, I was sharing this with my small group. To me, it's like life 101. Like, I wish everybody had this information. I wish everyone had these skills to really acknowledge and learn, how does your mind work? What feelings do you have on a regular basis? What's your habitual thinking, habitual feeling, habitual actions? And as you start to learn that about yourself, then you can start to really create different results, because you bring consciousness into those choices. So that's the journey that I went on. It says here, I'm a product of the work I'm teaching you today. And I shared this with my small group. I was a client of Productive Learning for 3 years before I ever worked for Productive Learning. And I overcame a lot of the results that I was dealing with at that time, many, many years ago, and saw significant financial, love, all different kinds of great results that came out of having a deeper understanding of what system I'm dealing with. Like, I'm dealing with the system of, my past, my interpretations, my actions, my thoughts, my feelings, just as you are, right? We're all dealing with our own system. So the more that you can understand that, the better you can update it. Just like on your iPhone or your cell phone, you're updating the system, right? It gives you a reminder. So consider this today as your reminder to get an update on your system. At Productive Learning, we have been working with individuals for almost 30 years now. Usually everything we do is in person, but obviously, like many of you who has been affected by 2020's events and had to change your business model and think, oh, well, this is never going to work in virtual, but well, voila, it does. And it's been a great opportunity for us to really pivot and scale and show how we can take this work onto bigger grounds and more opportunities. We usually travel to a different country every year and teach a workshop during that vacation. And we are hopeful that we'll still be doing that this year. In October, we're going to go to Iceland. And then the following year, Africa. So we always have something up our sleeve. We're hopeful, and if it doesn't work out that we can do that, then we will adjust as needed. A little bit about how we work. We believe that you have your answer. Like, I'm not going to give you the secret to life or the 5 strategies to have a perfect life, or, you could Google that if you really wanted to. But it's really more about asking questions and allowing you to get curious about who you are, what you have going on, what do you think might be blocking that, and listening to those answers that are coming from within you. So we really believe you have your own answer. And so sometimes, like, even when we do the open sharing, someone will share something and someone else is going to want to jump in and be like, but I have the answer. I can tell them, I know what it is. And I always say, just let them figure it out. Let them have their own word, because there's something in there that's really, really valuable in how you interpret it and how you think about it. So I think everyone can be fully on board with that, but I just wanted to let you know that's the perspective that we're taking. Here's a little bit of an insight into what I'm going to share with you at the end. It's New Thinking for New Actions. It's a course that we developed because of, well, in response to, I guess, of not being able to teach in person. We're like, how can we get this information out to people, even though they're not with us? So I'll give you access to that later on. All right, so now what we're going to do, I'm assuming no one's driving, so you can take a moment and close your eyes. This is just such a nice time to really sink into your chair. If you need to roll your head around, move your shoulders around. We've all been sitting for about an hour. And take a couple of deep breaths. Notice your breathing. Has it been shallow? Allow yourself to get that nice deep breath. And I want you to be thinking about an area or a problem in life that you're dealing with right now. that you would really like to be resolved. And you might have a few that come up like, wow, one problem, Lisa, I've got a whole bunch of things I want resolved. And let those settle in and decide on the one that you would like to focus on for the next half hour. Give it some attention. And once you have that problem identified, feel free to open your eyes up and write that down on your paper, just the title of that problem, like as if it's the title of a book. And I'm going to give you a moment to do that. And I'm playing along with you too. This can be business related, it can be personal, it can be revolving around a relationship with a client or someone in your life, a child, a friend, a family member, or it can be related to a goal that you've recently set that hasn't been achieved yet. So think of it as like your area of focus. Okay. So give me a quick thumbs up. You can use your reactions in the phone or your real thumb. Let me know that you have completed. Yes, we're good. Very good. Okay, I see a couple of nods. Yes, thank you, Adam. Excellent. Okay. Don't be scared to use those reactions. I love the heart ones. If you want to send some love. If you want to send a thumbs up, a little excitement. All right. Okay, so now our first exercise. Knowing that you have this problem, I want you to write down at least 3 things that you've done so far to solve the problem. And it could even be just, I've thought about this problem a lot. You know, it might even be just, I've thought about it. Maybe you asked a friend about it, or you actually put some things in motion, but you still have this issue. Like one of the things I've done to solve my problem is worry about it. That has not worked so far. But it's good to be aware that I'm like, oh, that's interesting. That's a habit. That's a habit that left without consciousness, left without awareness, that will be where I go. So what are some things that you've done so far that have not worked? And I'm even gonna stop the share really quick and let's put in the chat, like what's one thing that you've done that hasn't worked so far? I'm gonna put worry. That has not worked. Yeah, read a book. Sometimes we're like, okay, I need some information. And we read a book thinking this is going to solve my problem. And then it's like, oh, that was great ideas, but now what do I do? Right? Whining. Yes, whining. Yes. Trying to control things that are out of my control. Oh, 100%. Who else does that? I know I do that. Who's a member of that club? Yes. Thinking and thinking. Yeah, kind of that spinning, right? Like let me just ruminate on it more and more and more. Put out feelers to other business. Yeah, reasons why it can't happen. Oh, yeah, John, I can relate to that. No time for whiners. Yes, sometimes we judge ourselves for judging ourselves, right? Scheduling and then rethinking it all. Exactly. We can have some self-doubt or, we have this burst of like confidence, like, here, I'm going to do it. I'm going to plan it all. And then like, wait, I don't know, maybe this isn't going to work. I'm not sure. Is this right? Yeah. I think we can probably all relate to that at some point in our life. Okay. Overloading. Yes. Sometimes we just put way more on our plate and then we somehow have set ourselves up. Try to connect with social media and fallen short, wanting it to be perfect. Yep. I know sometimes with social media, it's like we think, oh, that's the magic bean, that's the answer. And then we do it, but it's not consistent. We maybe not have a strategy, and then it's not enjoyable. And so then therefore, okay, you guys are getting it. All right. Okay, so let's go back to our show here. Okay, so now what I'm going to have you do is put in the chat who your favorite superhero is. We're going to have some fun with this. And I'm going to actually stop the share for a second. Mine is Wonder Woman. Just saw Wonder Woman 1984. It was so good. Thor. Dreamy. Batman. Cool. Any other Wonder Woman? Yep, Wonder Woman. Nancy. Okay. Aquaman. Yeah. Superman. I'm reading the chat. Rocky the Flying Squirrel. Yeah. What other superheroes do you have? And it could be, maybe it's not a superhero, but like a fictional character, Mr. Incredible. Like it might be from a book that you've read, or a cartoon character, Underdog, Yoda. Yeah, it might be from Star Wars. Pink Missile. I don't know who that is. Okay, I have to look that up. Taz. I don't know who Taz is either. Jedi's, Yoda. Yep. Lots of Jedi's. Tigger. Oh. Underdog. You got some really creative ones. I love this. Michael the Archangel. Okay, yeah. Very good. Yes. So I want you to like really think of this superhero, and hopefully you're getting ideas from everybody else, or and think of it as like a fictional person, like somebody, some kind of character that maybe as a kid you really liked, that you were just attracted to them for whatever reason, or you wanted to be them or something like that. Okay. So now what we're going to do is I'm going to have you, and write down your superhero so you have that. All right, so what we're going to do is you are literally going to embody that superhero for the next few minutes, and you are going to imagine how your superhero would solve the problem that you're focusing on today. And I want you to come up with 3 ways, like if you were that superhero and they were you, and they were faced with your problem, your issue, your area of focus, how would they solve it? So 3 things that you could do as that superhero solving your problem. I'm going to play 2. And I'm thinking of that 1984 movie I just watched with Wonder Woman too. All right, and when you have your 3 solutions, go ahead and give me a quick thumbs up. Real thumbs, fake thumbs. Perfect. Okay, so for me, like I came up with a couple of solutions. Like Wonder Woman would probably be motivated to be a role model and to achieve her goal because of it would help somebody else. And that was a different way that I hadn't thought about it before. I'm like, oh yeah, that's true. Like I have a daughter. I know a lot of you have kids who's 17. So if I achieved my goal and I had a determination to complete this task that's in front of me, a lot of times without consciousness, I would think, well, I'm just doing it for me. But anyone who's a parent, your kids are always watching. So it's like, okay, what if that's interesting that came up as I was thinking about it for Wonder Woman. All right. Okay. So I want you to think of like maybe what's one solution that you came up with from your superhero's perspective that like Kevin just shared, Tigger wouldn't overthink it. Yeah, that's right. Tigger is not an overthinker, right? He is definitely like in the moment having fun. He wouldn't take it too seriously and would approach it like an adventure. Yeah, the one thing about Tigger, he always had that really positive outlook. He just didn't really worry about what other people thought about him. Marcy, Wonder Woman would ask questions and get curious, right? Yeah, she'd want to see like, how would this problem be solved? And like, what's the best approach? She's very even, as strong and powerful as she is, she's very even keeled, right? She's not excitable. She's just like determined. What else did you come up with for your superhero? What other solutions? Wonder Woman would think, who could help? Yes. Did anybody come up with that in theirs where it's like bringing in other people to support? Yeah, bring like, oh wow, I actually have a team of people. I have some resources here. A lot of times we forget that we even have resources available to us. Mr. Incredible would get in shape. Yeah, he's got to fit into his suit, right? Oh, these are so good. Okay. Underdog would be brave and not give in to fear or doubt. Charge forward with courage. More Wonder Woman would ask her tribe of women to help. Yeah, she's got some pretty strong Amazon women there. Yoda, love this one. Uses his mind to focus, channel energy, and be strong in spite of the challenges, right? Because like you would think, you would look at Yoda and think, oh, well, he's got a lot of, he's green, he's not the cutest guy in the whole wide world, right? But he is like so powerful, right? So powerful. Aragorn. Oh, yes. Laser focus on the goal. Aquaman would talk to people and network. Yeah, right. Sometimes we're like, oh yeah, maybe if I actually talk to people, that might work. Wonder Woman would get it done. Superman would not hesitate. Yes, yes, yes. Great. Excellent. Okay, cool. All right. So now that we've had a little bit of fun, we've had some fun, we're going to take it a little step deeper. So we've got our superhero. Now I want you to think of somebody that you really look up to and admire. This could be someone that you know, possibly, or a real person. It might be a parent, a friend, a coach, a mentor, a grandparent, a relative, a teacher, or maybe a boss that you had at one point. Somebody who just pops to mind where like, this person is, I've always admired them. I respect them. Like when I'm struggling, I would look to see what would they do. And we're going to take the same type of exercise, but now we're going to, instead of the superhero, we're going to use that person that you admire. So how would this person, your own personal superhero, how would you solve your problem, your issue, as if you were that person? So go ahead and put that person on your paper, and 3 things that person, you as that person, would do to solve your issue or your problem. What would Juan do? All right, so go ahead and put down who the person is. I'm going to put down my dad. And then let's see, as you can keep writing, but for those of you who are done, so let's see, who was your personal superhero? Yeah, for yours, mom. Craig likes himself. That's good. Nice self-esteem there, Craig. Warren Buffett. Excuse me. And now what? Oh, your friend. Oh, I spell my name. My middle name is Jane with a Y. How cool. Mother Teresa. Yeah. Right. Talk about selfless, right? So now what type of solutions did you come up with as that personal superhero, that person you admired? What else came to mind? Yeah, we got Oprah, Tony Robbins, John Wooden, Brian Buffini. Yeah, and so Brian would do 10-day goals until accomplished. I like that. Nice, short, sweet, compact. Be accountable. So you're going to bring in somebody else and give himself grace in the process. Oh, I love that one, right? How many times do we forget to give ourselves some grace, right? Like, oh, we're a little rough on ourselves sometimes. JH would smile, big smile, and say, why not? Let's just do it. Let's incorporate others into it and let's have fun doing it. Perfect. Visualize the path. Yeah, sometimes we have tools in our toolbox that we completely forgot about. We're like, oh yeah, I could create a vision. I could write down an intention. Well, I didn't even think about that, right? Talk and network. Seek spiritual guidance. This is great. You got this. You can copy other people's answers too. This is a free for all. This is a free market here. So these are great. Are you guys reading this chat? All right. Warren Buffett doesn't try to do everything himself. He stays humble and grounded. Yeah, surrounding ourselves by other people, right? Cicely and Oprah visualize best outcomes. Great, Keisha. Take inspired action. Beautiful. Over time, not overnight. Beautiful. And Juan came up with some things about ask different questions, take a different approach, and then do it. Yeah, so it's like kind of what we're doing right now. Like, how can we look at this differently? All right. Mother Teresa, work hard, be patient, and pray. Yeah, beautiful. Okay. This is great, you guys. All right, so now what we're going to do, we've done the three exercises, okay? So you have some data. You've got the 3 things that you did to solve the problem in the past. All right, so you've got that written down. You also have how your superhero self would solve the problem. So you've got 3 things, potentially 3 things there. And you have how your personal hero self solved the problem. So I want you to look at those 3 components. And I probably 9 to 10 different solutions, but in 3 different categories. What are the differences? And notice the differences in your answers. You're looking for themes. Remember, we are working on understanding, you're working on understanding your own system. So what did your system come up with? What surprised you? And it might even be, wow, actually, they're all kind of the same. That might be what surprised you. What you're really just looking for, what can I take from this? What can I take from this? Like one of the things I noticed for me is I put support on there, like I've asked for support, but I also have a resistance to getting support sometimes. So even though I have reached out for support, I still want to have this, like, I'm doing it myself. I've got it all myself. I've got it on my own. So the way in which I'm asking for support, or the willingness I am to get more support, is not necessarily an open road. It's like, well, I got support, but it wasn't, I can hear behind it the resistance to getting more support. Okay. So what differences did you notice? What differences did you notice? And here we can actually open it up if you want to, if you're brave enough and you'd like to unmute and share, welcome to do that. Catherine says, I came up with different solutions and answers. This exercise gave me a lot of ideas that I didn't think about till now. Good. Excellent.
Do you want us to just put it in the chat, or?
You can raise your hand and yeah, like you can share yours verbally. We have time to do that.
Okay.
Like
real
Scott
quick
raised his hand.
Go ahead,
Lisa.
Jenny. I'll go after Jenny.
Danny
So-
first, then Scott.
I noticed that the things that I've been doing that aren't really working are all in my head. I'm trying to solve it all in my head. And the things that my superheroes would do are all about take action, move forward, just do it, try it, and get moving.
Can anyone relate to Janny? I sure can. Yeah, we sometimes solve a lot of problems right before we're going to go to sleep, right? Which isn't really, the time to take action. Oh, thank you for sharing that, right? So yeah, so what was your takeaway from that, Janny? Did you have a takeaway now?
It was just like I was thinking about writing, right? And my philosophy for writing is that I know, I'll want to procrastinate, but if I'm really going to get it done, I need to just do it. And
Mhm.
this is the same. It's just get started and then things will fall into place the way they should.
Mhm. And I know, you and I've met before, so I know you're pretty amazing facilitator. And so I'm gonna offer up a challenge. Are you
Okay.
open for that? Don't worry, I won't do this to everybody. I know.
I'm up for it.
Is there something that you would like to claim or state to the group? Like say, and you don't need to share if it's a personal goal and things like that, you don't need to share the details, but is there something that you would want to say, oh, I'm going to do X by X? Is there something that would help?
Yeah, so some people in this group know that I'm working on updating my website. And
Mhm.
so, particularly the homepage. So I could say, yes, I will have a rough draft of it. And Anita, you can hold me accountable. A rough draft, what is today, January 8th, by the end of January. The
Okay.
rough draft of a homepage built.
Yeah. Okay, great. How does that feel?
Like now I have to actually do it, which is good.
I'm going to check in on February 1st, Jenny. Better be done.
All right.
I appreciate you for playing along because I get it. It's like when we declare it out loud, all of a sudden it's like the heat starts to turn up, right? So I appreciate you playing along. And that's not my intention for everyone to have claim it, but I could hear in your voice that it's and in
That
your
I was
response
willing.
that you were willing and that it might help you based on what you shared. Okay,
Thank
beautiful.
you.
Thank you. All right, Scott, and then we'll go to John O'Reilly.
Yeah, sure. For me, I guess sometimes I'm sort of an overachiever, so sometimes I try to do too much.
Mhm.
And maybe overly ambitious, however you want to think about it. And that's good, but sometimes you have to be more focused and only tackle what you can handle. And so another part is I do have pretty good mental toughness and focus. I'm able to focus, but sometimes I challenge myself or, get lack of self-confidence in that and don't, believe I can do it. And that's that little voice inside your head, And then lastly, maybe sometimes I don't fight as hard as I should. And that's something from my superhero Yoda that when he doesn't pick a fight, but when there's no other choice, he takes on the fight. And that's something I think I do, but maybe not as effectively as I could.
What's not as effectively as you could? You mean the fight part?
The fight.
Okay.
Yeah, realizing when it's time to really go for it and do what I need to do. And I think generally I do that, but sometimes I hold myself back because I don't want to be overly, whatever word you want to use, aggressive, I guess.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that's I love that you shared that. And it's interesting how our subconscious mind, doesn't know the difference of time. And whatever we learned from the beginning, 2 years old, 3 years old, 7 years old, 10 years old, 17, 22, 37, right? It's all the same in our subconscious mind. It doesn't have that experience of, oh, that was so long ago. It's you are all those ages. And so even in how you were sharing that, Scott, it prompted me to consider and wonder if this might be something related to something in the past, maybe with siblings or some kind of, because of the word fight and things like that. I'm like, that there may be some things to explore there. I'm just like, oh, that's interesting. What do I think when I have to fight? What does that mean to me? Why is that bad? Why is sometimes it's good? Why is it that I don't want to do it, but then when I'm pushed, I will? And getting more understanding about what does that mean to you as it now, because it's showing up in business now. So it's like, oh, that's interesting. And so just invite you to get super curious about that for yourself. You don't need to do it here today in front of everybody, just so you know, but that would be a great place to start looking. Yeah. Thank you for sharing that. Okay, and then John asks, and so I asked John if you could unmute so I can understand more in depth. It says, see potential elements, ideas to try, but we'll have to determine how to actually implement. That's a gap. Yes. Yes. John, are you with us? John O'Reilly.
Yeah. I was looking kind of more for general advice, maybe for all of us, because when you look at your superhero, we don't have those powers. So
Right.
I can't just start doing that. And depending on what your problem is you're trying to solve and what you were trying to do that was not working, I'm trying to kind of bridge that gap to actually, okay, what am I actually going to do differently then based on having this knowledge of these other two people and their skills and how they would think about things. And there's not a direct link necessarily. And I would have to think through it a lot to try to figure out how can I actually make that into tangible actions to take that are different from what I was doing before.
Yeah.
So I just wondered if maybe you had some other advice to try to connect those two together.
Well, it's a really great question, because how many of us know exactly what we're supposed to do, but then don't do it? Does anyone have that experience? Sure. Right. It's like, so this is where, remember I was talking earlier about the system that we have, and in other talks, I explained like how our thoughts lead to our feelings, lead to our actions, lead to our results, right? We have lots of thoughts going on. Most of them are unconscious. And then those affect our feelings. And if we don't have a certain level of emotional awareness, emotional intelligence, we're completely missing that. We're like not even noticing what we're feeling, right? And we go straight to action. So then we think, okay, I want to change. So I'm going to create this list of 10 things I'm going to do, and I'm going to force myself to do, and I'm going to be really disciplined, and it's going to happen. And then we do it for a little while, and then it starts to peter out. So, or many other variations of how we know what we're supposed to do and don't do it. So you are so on the money. There is a gap there. And what we do at Productive Learning is like, how do you start to address that gap? It's actually one of the very first steps in the course that we're talking about is like, what is the gap that I have? And then how do I start to really uncover what is it that I truly want? And then what's the resistance behind that? Because if there was no resistance, we would already have it. Let's just say we would already have it if there was no resistance to the actions that we think we need to take. So that's what I was actually addressing with Scott. There's some kind of a little bit of an internal battle, and just we're fine tuning, right? We're fine. We're all doing well. We're living in one of the best places in the world. We're in business. We're here together. We have laptops, so we have phones, we have family, we have people who care and love, we have shelter. So we're doing well. But so we're in the fine tuning process of like, that's interesting. I noticed that there are some actions that I come up with, but I don't really want to do them. There's some kind of resistance there. And that's where it is so not a one size fits all problem or solution, right? This is you got to figure out what is going on in your system that's creating the resistance. Like, and that's where I suggested with Scott, like getting super curious about that. Oh, that's interesting. Well, what's the threat if I fight too soon, or what am I avoiding? There's an answer in there within you. I wish I had the answer. Oh my gosh, it'd be so powerful if I had all the answers for all of you guys. But I don't know. I don't know what that is. But I do know that when you start to, I'll give the link to Kathy Steffen based on Kathy Naylor's question. What was that book? ADHD, Scott, you were talking just had an ADD moment.
Yeah,
Anyway,
it's called Delivered from Distraction, and it's a follow-up to a previous book he wrote. So Delivered from Distraction tells you the solutions to ADHD. The previous book tells you how horrible it is, or it can be.
Okay. So hopefully that was helpful, John. All right. Now, Kevin Sharar has a quick comment. Kevin, take it away. I don't see you yet, but oh, you're on mute, dear.
So sorry.
That's okay.
Apologize. Okay, quickly. I just wanted to thank our Director of Fund, Kathy Steffen, at the Chamber, and all who were involved in bringing you before us today.
Aww.
I think this was perfect timing for this topic, and I'm speaking expenditure for myself now. And I'll tell you why. Because in the beginning, you had this slide that said, you know what? You pretty much, in paraphrase, you have all the answers. I don't, because I'm not you, but I'm going to lead you through an exercise to help you see that you have all the answers. And that was achieved for me today. And I want you to know that, Lisa. The system update, definitely. It's kind of like Zig Ziglar talks about motivation. He recommends it daily, like bathing. Well, I'm going to recommend to myself a system update daily until I get through this problem. And then with the solution, and then just the way that you brought it together. And, it reminds me of the book, Acres of Diamonds, that talks about, what do you have? You do have everything at your disposal, whether in your hands, in your reach, or with a phone call or a Zoom call with people that you know. Who do you have? Who can help? And don't let pride or shame or any of that get in the way of making that call, having that meeting, and doing that. So hats off. That was my comment.
Oh, beautiful. I'm so glad. Yeah. We're here for a reason, right? Whether it's for ourselves or maybe to affect somebody else, you never know all the people that you could inspire and impact and affect. And it's nice to hear that direct feedback. So thank you. I got all warm and fuzzy inside. How cool. Okie dokie. All right. So we got some stuff that we've been doing. This is pretty cool. I love this. I love your guys' group. Okay, so now what you want to do is start to compare those beliefs that you have started to flush up. Like, oh, that's interesting. Why could you easily create new ways to think about this problem from these perspectives? Like, oh, let me think about it from a superhero perspective. And we can write it down. Oh, let me think about it from someone that I admire. And we can write it down. The interesting piece is how easy that was. That was pretty easy exercise, right? So the question starts to become like, well, why can't I think that way all the time? And I heard that in some of the comments, like, oh, well, I have this available to me already. That's interesting. Why would I not think about this automatically? And again, this is where we start to, similar to what Kevin was saying about updating that system. Your system isn't set yet to think about that automatically. Remember, we have all the answers, but some of them are, in the subconscious. We're not merely aware of it. They're happening, but we may not be asking the right questions to bring that up. So this is where it gets really interesting, because we think a certain way. We have ways in which we think habitually. That self-doubt, that I'm on my own and it's never going to work, and maybe I shouldn't have, or maybe I should have, the questioning, any of the fears that come up, all that resistance is habitual, and it's normal. It's okay. So we're not going to live a resistance-less life necessarily, but can we be more aware of our own resistance? What beliefs do we think is true? Like, what do we think could possibly happen? And how can we start to uncover the resistance that's keeping us from this other thing that we want, this result? And in productive learning, we talk about a metaphor of like the gas pedal and the brake pedal a lot. And the idea is that with the gas pedal, and this, a lot of times people focus on the gas pedal, like I'm going to create my vision, I got my strategy, I got my plan, I got my action items. Like, is anyone else really good at putting on the gas pedal, like all the way down, pedal to the metal, right? We're like, we're going to go for it. And I'm going to write an intention. I'm going to say my affirmations. I'm going to journal. I'm going to meditate. I'm going to, all this stuff, right? And that's putting your foot way on the gas. And there's a lot of great things about that. And that is part of it. What we tend to forget is the brake pedal, which is also within our hands. And that's the resistance, the reasons why it's not going to work. I can't do this. And that's a little bit quieter, and it's very powerful in the background. So if you have the gas and the brake on at the same time, what happens? You don't go anywhere, right? So you could fill that, all that gas pedal energy to the max. If your brake is also on at the same level, but it's just silent, you're kind of ignoring it, you will stay in the same spot. So I use this metaphor because it's kind of like, oh yeah, okay, so let me address what's on the brake pedal. Like where am I actually like getting in the way of me moving forward? And the more you can lower that resistance, if you have the gas pedal down far, but you have your foot off the brake, now you're going fast. Now you're getting there in 10 days, like the goal, now you're moving. So it's a neat way to think about it as you're moving forward with this. Like, don't be afraid of the brake. Get curious about the brake. What is stopping you from? And it's not just like ignoring it, but it's a leaning into it and listening to it and going, oh, that's interesting that I have that thought. Sometimes that's tricky to do without judging ourselves, but we all have it. So my encouragement is to let go of your past thinking, create new thinking. What if a lot of what you think isn't possible in this particular area is actually not true? And that is such a powerful question, because in our minds, in between our ears, when we go to bed at night, when we wake up, when we're in the shower, when we're getting ready in the morning or whatever, we limit ourselves by what we think is true or what we think is not true. So when we can open up and go, oh, wow, I wonder, is that true? Is it impossible for me to get that thing? Even though I've tried, so it's almost like a letting go and an expanding of what you believe was possible. Really great question. And then what could be different if you actually allow yourself to go, maybe that's not true. Maybe I could have that. What would that look like? Truly, like what I really believe that could happen. What would be different? And that's also another really powerful question. A lot of times people take a photo of this slide because it's so simple, yet we can get so entrapped by what we think is right, and we want to be right because right feels safe. So I want to make sure everyone has access to this course that I was mentioning as we wrap up here today. And it's called New Thinking for New Actions. And like I mentioned, in that first, it's got 5 steps. We've got the discovering your awareness gap, creating your compelling vision, the power of your mind in action, how your thoughts become beliefs, and recognizing results as information. So in that first, and this is all free to you, I'll give you access to it. That first step, discovering your awareness gap, like where am I and where do I want to go? Got to figure out what we're dealing with. The second step, creating a compelling vision. At Productive Learning, we've led quite a few workshops on vision. And so you could write a vision for, you could spend all day writing your vision. You could write a vision for a day, for an hour, for meaning intentionally, what do I want in this next hour, in this next day, in this next week, year, month, 5 years, right? Your lifetime. So there's lots of different ways that you can play with vision. But compelling is the key word here. A lot of times when we write our vision, we write about things and stuff and, that kind of what do I want to achieve? When you write a compelling vision, it invokes your emotion. And how do you feel? What do you want to create? What kind of experience do you want to have? So we teach you how to do that in this particular course. And then what action steps do you need to take? Because yes, even though action, action is part of it. You can just be sitting there thinking and not doing anything. So what inspired action. I think Keisha, you said inspired action. And now you're looking at that compelling vision you created and you're creating inspired action. What would really help create that compelling vision? And then we need to address just what I talked about, that brake pedal. Like, so what could stop me from doing that? What would be the resistance to those action items, which is what John was asking about. And then we take a moment. We're like, okay, let me evaluate what happened. Let me see what results were there. How did I do? What do I need to adjust? And so those are the steps of that course. You can get it on, and I can put the link in here, or Kathy, if you want to do that. But it's productivelearning.com/gift. You'll get instant access to it. You can take it at your own pace, watch it again, share with a friend, whatever you'd like to do for that. So I'm going to put that. I will put that in the chat. I'm going to stop the share here for a moment. And we have just a couple of, oh, thank you, Serena. We have just a couple moments. Thank you for that. I'm going to put this link in the chat here for all of you. And I would like to, what would I like to do? We're trying to do two things at once. That's the problem right here, guys. Okay, so what I'm going to do is we'll end here. I'm going to put my contact information and I'll put the link into the course so you can grab that right away. If you want to connect with me on LinkedIn, we have that as well. Thank you. We'll put that in the chat. And then I'm going to turn this back over to, who am I turning it over to? Lupe? Am I turning it to Lupe?
Brett.
Brett. Yes, thank you. Thank you, everybody. And thank you, Juan. It was absolutely my pleasure. I love Carlsbad Chamber. You guys rock. Thank you for my virtual applause.
All right. I think it was turned over to me. Is that right, Kathy? My
Yes.
turn?
Right. Yes.
All right. Hey, thank you so much. I apologize that I was juggling between multiple meetings this morning and didn't get to enjoy the full content, but I'm glad we recorded it, and as we do with all these great meetings, and it'll be up on our webinar page on the Chamber's website very soon. So again, thank you for great presentations. And we have a lot of great things coming up later this month that I just want to let you guys know about. As we move into 2021, we continue to help you stay connected. You know, one of the most important things is to stay connected to other people. And we have virtual networking in a lot of different formats. So this month we will be doing virtual networking with our friends at the Vista Chamber of Commerce for our happy hour. And if I can get to my other screen, that'll be on the 20th of January. So we encourage you to join us for that on 5 p.m. And all of this stuff you can find on our website on our event calendar, www.carlsbad.org. Go to our event calendar and you can register for that virtual happy hour with our friends at the Vista Chamber. And then also something else I want to let you know about, we have a legal update. And I know that doesn't sound too exciting, but in this time of COVID and so many laws and regulations shifting and moving on employers, you need to be up to date. I'm just in my other meeting with the chamber that I had to jump over to. It was our Ready Carlsbad Business Alliance meeting, and we had a presentation from one of our attorneys here at the chamber, who's a member, and she was talking about all the Cal OSHA regulations that have changed regarding COVID. You need to be up to date on this, and this applies to anybody who has more than one employee. So that's pretty much all of us. So we're having a legal update on January 22nd at 11:30 a.m. I believe that's correct. And again, that's on our calendar. And the same attorney who did the update for the Ready Carlsbad Business Alliance, Patrice Nagel, she'll be doing that legal update of all the laws that have changed and have come up for 2021 that we need to be aware of. So I encourage you to get signed up and make sure. I hate businesses opening themselves up and exposing themselves to undue liability. So just stay up to date on what's changed so that you don't get caught off guard and You know, the worst thing that I can imagine could have happened is you survived 2020 and you got into 2021 and weren't up to date on some new law that changed and you got sued by somebody. And that would be about the worst I can imagine. So let's keep ourselves up to date, protect ourselves. We have other meetings coming up that you can participate in. There's virtual coffee connection on the 15th. And there's a lot of great content also coming out from some of our committees. So if you haven't tried any of our committees, I encourage you to take a look at our Business Resource Committee, our Green Business Committee, our Government Affairs, and as well as our Ready Carlsbad. So there's just tons of content we have available to you guys. Keep yourself up to date. Really appreciate you all joining us today. And let's continue our connections, continue referring each other, continue supporting each other, and let's make 2021 thrive. Kathy, I'm going to kick it back to you.
Thank you, everybody, for coming today. Thank you to all our facilitators. And Lisa, thank you so much for the awesome presentation. And you guys have a wonderful Chamber Day. Thank you.
Thanks, everybody. Have a great day.
Hi, great job.
Good to see everybody.
Yeah. Good to see
Great.
everybody.
Great to be
Happy
connected.
New Year. Have a great weekend, everyone. Nice to see you all back.
Happy New Year. I always like to be the last to leave the party or get kicked out.
You're going to get kicked out pretty soon.
John Sanders, you're muted. There you're
I'll
not.
see you tomorrow morning, 8:30.
Yep, John, see you for, tomorrow morning.
Okay. You can shut off now.
Okay.
No.
Here we go.
Bye, everybody. Thank you so much.
Bye.
Chris Chase, nice to see you here, by the way.